Hello and welcome to Broken Entertainment. Today we're going to talk here real quickly about Warner Brothers and its absolute desperate attempts to make Wonder Woman 1984 the success that it had really hoped for. And I think there's a couple reasons for this. I don't think it's political. I don't think it's agenda driven. I think with all that's going on and with all the theaters shut down and with Warner Brothers going all in on getting HBO Max not just up and running, but to be a dominant platform in the streaming wars, I think they're really pushing Wonder Woman 1984 because they thought this was what was going to do it for them. They wanted Wonder Woman 1984, and coming up, Zack Snyder's Justice League cut to be their version of Disney Plus's Mandalorian. The idea, I think, was to use Wonder Woman 1984 to bring a whole bunch of new people onto the platform and then hook those new people by the upcoming release of the Snyder Cut. And they're seeing these horrible numbers, and I think they're kind of panicked because, yes, a lot of people watched it, but not a lot of people like it. And, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, right, we all know that their Rotten Tomato score is not very good. And we'll go ahead and pull up the full audience score here. The audience score, including the entire audience, is 43%. And yesterday, I believe it was, the critic rating dropped down to 59%. It seems to be back up to 60, but it dropped below that crucial threshold where it's considered, they label it rotten. They need this movie to work, and they need it to do well, and they need people to say, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I need to go watch it again. Or maybe I just didn't understand it. Because if it fails, they risk not just losing the money they have already lost for Wonder Woman 1984, which I believe they wrote it off anyway. Because if you look at what they're trying to do to push HBO Max, I think they're willing to take the loss on Wonder Woman 1984, saying, well, it's a screwed up year anyway. We'll put it on HBO Max. It'll draw in a big crowd, and then we'll hook that crowd permanently with the Snyder Cut, and they just brought on Batman the Animated Series and Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. They're trying to roll out this whole DC framework to get people hooked on their streaming service. And the flagship of that movement was Wonder Woman 1984, and it's failing. It's the only thing that, to me, explains this. Warner Brothers launches Oscar Best Picture campaign for Wonder Woman 1984. Now, you gotta understand, these campaigns, like a lot of things, they don't come out of nowhere. They don't wake up one day and say, hey, let's do an Oscar campaign and try to get Wonder Woman 1984 a bunch of different awards. So this was in the works probably before Wonder Woman 1984 ever hit HBO Max. The groundwork for it. And now that it's on HBO Max, they're still going to push it because there's a certain prestige in the film industry, of course, for a movie having awards. And in their advertising for HBO Max going forward, they can say award-winning movies like Wonder Woman 1984 that nobody else has. And in the eyes of a lot of people that maybe haven't seen it, or a lot of people who are more what you would call normies, awards still have some meaning in film. A lot of other people who are more critical of where the entertainment industry has gone are aware that awards are just political crap that don't have any meaning anymore. But a lot of people don't really think about it and don't know that. They don't watch it as closely as everybody else. So, if we dig into this, they have officially launched their Oscar campaign, including a push for Best Picture. The 2017 Wonder Woman, a far superior movie, opened in June of that year and was an immediate critical and commercial hit. It still has a 93% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But despite all the accolades and a relentless PR campaign, Wonder Woman didn't get a single Oscar nomination. Not even for Best Visual Effects or Best Costume, because basically they didn't push that one. And I'm not sure why, other than to think maybe they chose not to do that because they were having so much trouble with their other DC movies. Maybe they didn't expect Wonder Woman to do well. I don't know. Just speculating. Some have theorized Warner Brothers was too focused on Dunkirk and Blade Runner. Maybe. Dunkirk, probably. Blade Runner, I don't think so. It's also possible the release of Justice League in November of that year drained Wonder Woman's momentum. I don't think so. I mean, maybe among those people, but I think among fans, they're viewed as two totally separate entities. Certainly, my opinion of Wonder Woman 2017 has nothing to do with my opinion of the Justice League movie, and vice versa. Wonder Woman 1984 opened simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max on Christmas Day, which, by the way, I think absolutely brilliant in both counts because theaters are dead anyway, but it kind of throws them a little bit of a bone. And by doing it on Christmas, a lot of people are looking for something to watch, and there wasn't much out there. And we can see from the viewing numbers that worked. The problem is whether those people stay and whether they like the movie. Because if you don't like the movie, you're not going to rewatch it. You're not going to buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out. And you're not going to you may not stay on HBO Max. He's like, well, I signed up to watch this movie and it's crap. So, why feel compelled to look at their other content? It seems the studio is still hoping a big promotional push can lead to some major nominations. Now, they may also just be pushing for nominations because they can use that in advertising too. The site has recently updated with a 4-year consideration campaign for Wonder Woman 1984 in categories including Best Picture, No Way in Hell, Best Director, no. But I do think Patty Jenkins is a good director. I think she's just a terrible writer. Best Actress, Gal Gadot. Best Supporting Actor, Pedro Pascal. Now, I did think Pedro Pascal did an excellent job. And Chris Pine, I think, is always good. Best Supporting Actress. Plus a number of below-the-line categories like Best Costume Design, Best Makeup and Hairstyle, etc. My thought on this is they don't have a whole hell of a lot of competition. And that might be another reason they're pushing it, because what are they competing against? A lot of movies were pushed back out of this year, and some of the ones that weren't, like Tenet, got pretty lukewarm receptions as well. So there's a real possibility they could win some of these, especially because, as we know, it's political. And this is Wonder Woman. It's a female-driven movie with a female lead. You know how that goes in Hollywood. To date, only 2 superhero films have ever been nominated for Best Picture. Marvel Studios' Black Panther, political, 2019. And Joker in 2020. Joker, from everything I've heard, is a fantastic movie. I've not seen it. Not even The Dark Knight, widely considered one of the best superhero films ever made. I absolutely agree with that. Was nominated for Best Picture, although Heath Ledger possibly won for his iconic portrayal of the Joker, which he absolutely should have, which proves just how difficult it can be for superhero movies to be recognized by the Academy. Yeah, because these creators don't take superhero movies or their fans seriously. Though initial reactions to the film were glowing, once a wider audience was able to see it, the critical response took a major dive. Now, see, here's this political thing again. The initial reviews were glowing, and they were, but those reviews are early access reviews, and a lot of those critics are shills because they get early access to all this stuff. And to maintain that early access, they go out and they say great things about it, even if they don't think it's good. Once a wider audience was able to see it, I already said that. Couple that with simultaneous theatrical and streaming release, plan that has cut in the box office grosses, and there just doesn't seem to be enough buzz, even in a weak year, for any of the major nominations, especially Best Picture. However, it's hard to look at a movie like Wonder Woman 1984 with Diana's gorgeous Golden Eagle suit. That was a really cool suit of armor that was served absolutely no purpose in the movie, but it was neat. And makeup effects on Cheetah, that was awful. And not think that maybe, just maybe, there's a way for Wonder Woman 1984 to walk home with an Oscar this year. I think it's going to win something. I don't know what. But the competition's weak. And it hits some of the right check boxes for that politically motivated base. I still maintain it was a disappointing movie. There are a lot of flaws with that movie. A lot of flaws. I don't want to get into them. But it's not the worst superhero movie I've seen. Not even the worst one DC has made. And I don't think they're as crazy to do this as it might seem. Because I think they understand the level of competition they're dealing with. And they need this movie to get some accolades to push it more when they do Blu-ray releases and when they push it for another cycle on HBO Max. Now, as far as HBO Max is concerned, pulling in those extra numbers was good. Whether they can hold them or not, I don't know. Because a lot of those numbers are going to be people that were just like, oh yeah, I want to watch that. It's a superhero movie and it's Christmas and I want to watch something. And there's not much on. You know, whether they stay because the Batman animated series is on, my guess is no. Because most of the people that would be interested in a cartoon and understand that that cartoon is not a kid's show are going to be people who are already fans. As for the Lynda Carter Wonder Woman, that's pretty short. That's not going to keep anyone. They can just binge that and be done. But they might hold over some of those numbers for people interested in the new Justice League movie. I kind of expect that'll happen. But Warner Brothers is absolutely all in on this, and they can't really afford to screw it up. And I think they're kind of panicky about Wonder Woman 1984. And I think this is a quick attempt. It didn't start out that way, but now it's an attempt to get some sort of accolade so they can say something positive about it when they make ads. Because they need that revenue, and they need to be able to bring in people to watch it again later. And they need a successful Wonder Woman 3 whenever that comes out. I think the real test coming forward, though, is going to be the Snyder Cut. There's a lot of hype behind that, even among quote unquote normies. If that also fails, I think again you'll see high viewing numbers initially, but if that also fails, they're in a lot of trouble. They need something original and new to HBO Max that is ongoing. The wonderful thing about the Snyder Cut is that it's a 4-parter. But then it ends. And if it's really successful, they can build off of that. But they're waiting too long. There's nothing there. Having that movie and then going, oh, that really worked. Let's make something off of it. Well, that's another 2 years down the road. HBO Max doesn't have anything that really pulls you in and holds you there. Like Disney Plus has The Mandalorian, which is really all Disney Plus has going for it too. It's in the same boat if you take out The Mandalorian, because everything else on there is stuff people have already seen. And most of it, not all of it, most of it is short. It's a movie or a short series or what have you. So if these people want to compete with Netflix, if Warner Brothers wants to compete with Netflix and go all in on HBO Max like they have, they really need this to work. And they really need to string people along with the Snyder Cut. And then they need something after that, and I don't know what that is. Maybe we'll see. Maybe there's something out there we don't know about yet. For me as a DC fan, there's plenty, right? You got the Batman animated series. You got all the other cartoons from DC that are going to come out on HBO Max. And they do have these TV series that they're going to produce for HBO Max. You have the potential for Batman Beyond series, a potential Batman series, and a couple other things that there's rumors about. But those are still a year or two away. In the meantime, they had to limp along with Wonder Woman 1984. So they got to get some kind of accolades going. But I do genuinely think when this movie wasn't released yet, they thought they had a movie that was going to do really well. Because the first movie did really well. And I think they gave Patty Jenkins a lot more creative control over this movie from the way she talks than they did over the first movie. Certainly, she wasn't a writer on the first movie, and she was in this one. So we'll see how things shake out. If you like the movie, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you next time.